All right, Amy, will you take roll call for us, please?
Absolutely. Commissioner Diphall,
Here.
Commissioner Corbin.
Here.
Commissioner Wire,
Here.
Commissioner Shaw,
Here.
Mayor Lindsay.
Yeah, in front of you, the agenda for tonight. I need a motion to adopt the agenda as presented. So moved. Second. Motion by Corbin, second by Kelly. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The consent calendar is presented. Anything you wanted taken out of the consent calendar? If not, motion to approve the consent calendar.
Motion to approve the consent calendar.
Motion by Kelly, second by Jure. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. There is no unfinished business. We're gonna get down to new finished business. We're gonna have first reading of ordinance number 1667, revising ordinances related to excavations. I'll let you take over on that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is fairly minor changes to update our excavation ordinance. A couple of changes of note would be that we are requiring that all installers on our water and sewer service lines and mains be licensed installers. Currently in ordinance, we allow non-licensed installers to complete work, but they have to file a bond, and we would recommend removing that option so that all work is done by licensed installers. Another change is clarifying on the seasonal limitation section. We issue excavation permits each year from the days of April 1st to October 1st, and then require permits, excavations to be finished by October 15th. But there are these seasonal limitations can be waived by the Director of Streets. I think last year was a really good example where we had excellent weather and allowed the construction season to go on longer than a normal year. And we want to be able to allow people to continue doing work as long as weather allows. So this clarifies that the seasonal limitations can be waived by the Director of Streets. And that's basically all the things of note, and this is just kind of one of those ordinances we're trying to clean up again as well. I do want to give shout outs to a lot of the staff in our engineering, utilities, streets departments. They all worked very hard, as well as utility billing, to make sure that this process is clear from when people come in to get a permit application, and they turn it in to complete the work that's reviewed. Staff did a very good job of collaborating amongst each other on this one.
Is that a state license or?
Yeah, how do we define license?
Boy, Ryan, do you know?
Yeah, so it would be. Would be both state license and city license.
Then do we have a list?
We do, yep. The state sends out their list periodically, but our list is updated as needed.
Do we have that out there? So, you know, if somebody has the issue, who would even contact?
Yeah, it's on our website.
It is.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Hearing none, I need a first read or a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the first reading of ordinance number 1667, revising ordinances related to excavation.
Second.
Motion by Kelly, second by Jeremiah. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. It carries. Number 13, consider award of bid number 951 fire department generator.
So after the derecho, we were looking into generator options for the fire hall, as that is a important facility during cases of emergency. And we also applied for a grant that helps to pay for much of that generator that we're looking for. We received that grant, and so we're moving forward with purchasing and installing that generator. We opened bids and we received 2 bids. One was not completed on the correct city forms. And then the one that was received correctly is in the amount of $106,000. So that is the low bidder. We, in an amount of $106,000, we felt this price was higher than expected, and we hope that we would like to recommend rejecting the bid with the intent of rebidding, and we believe that we could get lower bids secured.
Yeah, just a note, I'm gonna abstain from this one. My dad is an electrical contractor that didn't put a bid on this project, so.
How many backup generator forms do we have to do it on this?
Forms?
Yeah, to the point where we're filling the wrong ones out.
Oh, like what kind of forms do we require? Ryan, can you speak toward that?
It's just our EJCDC documents, so engineer joint. It's just our bid form. The submittal was just, I guess, their own written, Word document. And so it doesn't include any of the certifications or anything in there. That's the important part, I think.
So we feel like there's a clerical error that made them ineligible. So if we were to reject and rebid, we feel like we might be able to get the same price. It wasn't just a misunderstanding of.
Correct, yeah. I mean, you always run the risk of that. Now that this bid is out there, everyone knows what that is, but we did have a couple folks reach out to us as well that shoot, we missed your generator. And so we do think we'll probably get more bids.
How do we advertise again?
We advertise in the newspaper and then the plans go out to the exchanges in Sioux Falls.
And that's we plan going forward to stick with that, or?
We certainly could look at more ways of advertising. We'd be open to that.
Yeah, we typically reach out to contractors when we are aware that some might bid. This was kind of an unusual one where we weren't sure who supplies generators. And then we have a little bit more information on that, but
So what's the staff recommendation?
That recommendation is to reject the low bid. And
So moved.
rebid.
So a motion by
I'll
Jeremiah
second.
to reject the bid
I'll second.
of 106,000, seconded by Jure. Any further questions, concerns? Hearing none, all those of rejecting bid number 951 fire department generator, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. 3-0 with one abstaining. Number 14, award bid number 953, surplus wire, hardware, and other miscellaneous materials.
So it's pretty straightforward. We have some materials that we no longer need. They were declared surplus. They were appraised at over $500. So we had a competitive process as required by state law. Low bid, or excuse me, the high bid and the only bid is from Metal Brokers LLC in the amount of $2,100, and staff recommend awarding that bid.
Does this go through purple wave too then or
No, not this one did not.
Oh.
Yeah, this one was just advertised in the paper, like it used to be.
Is this something we'll have a marketing team or look, I mean,
Yeah, we do.
whenever you get one bid or one, I mean, it's.
Yeah, I mean, some of these things, when it comes to local people who are in a position to purchase most readily, you're not gonna be getting a lot of bids. But we do have a new person on staff who can help us with making sure we get the best advertisement strategy out there for all of our bids.
That'd be good.
Any other questions? Motion?
make a motion to award bid number 953 surplus wire, hardware and other miscellaneous materials to Metal Brokers.
Second.
Motion by Kelly, second by Jure. All those in favor saying aye,
Aye.
or sorry, Jeremiah, I'm sorry. All those opposed? Same sign, motion carries. Number 15, award bid number 947, A-ground bid.
We have a number of properties around the city that have some grass on it that can be hayed. And so this is an annual lease that we bid out so that the public has an opportunity to do that. John Doblar was the only bid received. It's about 50 acres spread in a few different spots in the city. And the high bid in this case was $900. There isn't a lot of value in this, but we do know that there's multiple people that want to see this opportunity. So we have been competitively bidding this last couple of years.
Questions?
We define those acres? Or have a map, or how do we?
Yeah, I actually got 'em right here if you would like to see them.
Sure.
Yeah.
There's some land by the water treatment plant. This is a good chunk of it. There's some out by the tree plant or the tree pile, excuse me. Can't remember the other ones offhand.
What about the airport? Or they plant it.
Yeah, the airport.
That's a different deal. Actually, is that bid annually too, or is that a multi-year contract?
We did that multi-year. Am I right?
Yeah, that sounds right, because they want to have a few years to
Yeah.
plant crops in there.
I guess they were gonna do a crop rotation because of the FAA. Good. Okay, need a motion.
Make a motion to award bid number 947 hay ground to John Dobler,
The amount of.
amount of $900.
Motion by Jure,
Second.
second by Kelly. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Yeah.
Opposed? Abstained?
Hey,
Motion passes 3-0, one abstain. All right, number 17, adopt city commission policies and procedures.
We'll skip over 16.
Oh, sorry, I'm sorry, 16, authorize the mayor to sign change order number 9, Northwest 9th Street, Union Avenue Reconstruction, Winter Contracting Incorporated.
I want to make sure Ryan gets his steps in again. So again,
Well, I asked so many questions, so obviously I got them all answered, so I just.
Go ahead, Ryan.
So this change order is change order number 9 for Northwest 9th Street. It's in the amount of $31,047.80. This work is additional concrete surfacing. There were some steps that needed to be put in at a house, transition sidewalk at that location, some 6-inch concrete sidewalk, and some modifications to the storm sewer system. None of these items had a bid item when Winter Contracting did this project. So some of these items, such as the BCC approach pavement, that's a reinforced approach pavement. The bid item that was in the bid itself was non-reinforced. And so this would take the place of that non-reinforced concrete. There was no 6-inch concrete sidewalk on the job, it was all 4-inch. And we had noted a couple locations where we needed sidewalk through driveways, and that additional thickness will help there. And then the storm sewer system, that's all part of the redesign that we had done and have worked on, throughout the project. So that's it in a nutshell.
So these were just missed on the engineer put together bid set.
No, not really at all. So we had bid that out. Houston Engineering had done the design work, and they had bid that out anticipating no 6-inch sidewalk. And it was unknown that those driveways were reinforced. Wasn't any way of knowing until they were torn out. But we thought those property owners had spent the money to put the reinforcing in their driveways. We should put it back in kind. We should put back what we took away. So, some of these were just, they didn't anticipate needing 6-inch sidewalks. Some of these we didn't anticipate finding reinforcement. And then the storm sewer changes, those are a result of redesign as we've gone through the project. So nothing was really missed. It was just, there's been some changes and some, field corrections needed and some regrading that required that step to be added. So number of things to lead to these.
So it's 4-inch drive sidewalk common.
No, I mean, your 4-inch pedestrian sidewalk, would be between the driveways. We always put 6 in the driveway.
So
So,
that's like odd that it'd be missed.
yeah, they just didn't anticipate any 4-inch through driveways. They were removing the driveway, but not the sidewalk. And in the one location, we want to do some grade change, and there was no way to remove the driveway without removing the sidewalk.
The plan was to leave the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
Any other questions for Ryan? No, motion?
I'll make a motion to authorize item 16.
Motion by Jeremiah,
Second.
second by Jure. Any further questions, discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 17, adopt city commission policies and procedures.
You guys spent 9 years on the commission, you can learn little shortcuts like Jeremiah too. He's put his time in, so.
As long as we all understand the business.
Yeah.
You can do it anyway, yeah.
So the city commission policies and procedures document that is in front of you would be a new set of policies for the city that specifically outline activities of the city commission as elected officials. This is something that we found is in other cities quite commonly for policies, but we haven't had in Madison. And for the most part, it's reflecting our current practice and simply puts our practice on paper. So this document includes kind of governing how we govern our community. It delineates our agenda process and meeting procedures, responsibilities and activities for elected officials, and then relationships between elected officials and city employees, as well as between the city and the media. It covers a number of things, but again, for the most part, it is setting into practice setting onto paper what we already do practice. One new thing that was added based on feedback was the addition of a quarterly strategic discussion meeting among as a commission. So this could be done a couple different ways, but I think the intent is that the additional meeting once a quarter to allow the commission to have some more strategic planning and visioning type of discussions. And so no action would be taken at those, but it gives you guys a chance to step away from the day-to-day activities that you take care of each meeting and think more strategically about the vision for the community. Stand by for questions.
Well, if we were to do that strategic planning, does that include department heads as we look through that process, as we envision where we're headed?
Yeah, I would.
Depending on what we're looking at, talk about.
Right, I would recommend that we'd have a topic picked out in advance.
Correct.
Possibly, we could have an agenda item on a regular meeting to just decide what you want to have on that agenda for that planning meeting. And then we can make sure that appropriate staff are attending.
Yeah, I'm not here to waste people's time, but I think if we're gonna look at, infrastructure, it'd be nice to have Ryan and Amy and some of those people that are directly
Right.
involved in that process, the things we discuss. They won't talk about certain things even. I mean, it'd be nice to have that discussion with people.
Yeah.
I think it's important.
Yep, I agree.
Is there any concerns from our attorney on this?
No,
Like you said, no action will be taken, it just.
at that meeting, at the strategic meeting, yes, yeah.
Any other questions? Concerns?
Can you make a motion when you're?
I cannot.
Oh. Never got to run a meeting. You're been here
You
almost
want-
9 years.
Let's switch with me.
No. Why would I change?
I'll let you finish it out.
No, we never got to do that either.
We can have like a little line in there that says Jim.
No, let's not do that.
I'll make a motion to adopt the city commission policies and procedures.
Motion by Kelly,
I'll second.
second by Jure. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 18, discussion on vegetation height requirements.
Last fall during public comment, there was discussion from a resident on whether we can change regulations on vegetation height, and we didn't reach any consensus at that time, but now as we are looking at another summer coming in front of us, staff wanted some direction on whether the commission would like to see us enforce our current policy or make any changes. So this item is purely for discussion purposes, and staff can take that direction as needed.
We have policies in place about yard height, et cetera, correct?
Right, I suppose I can give a little bit of overview there. So I believe it's 6 inches, is that right, Ryan?
6 inches.
Yeah, my last time was 8 inches, so I was second guessing myself, but 6 inches is the maximum height allowed for grass. And once it reaches that point, then staff are able to, if notified, put a notice out there so that they or know that they're required to mow it, and then after so many days, if they aren't complying, we can go in and mow it for them. Of course, we very much prefer everybody to maintain their own properties, but 6 inches is the current maximum height. Other cities, I think 6 to 8 inches is usually pretty typical. In some cities, you're starting to see events called No Mow May, which is the month of May, those restrictions are not enforced, so people don't have to mow their lawn. And that is for purpose of promoting pollinators and kind of a critical time of year for them. But then even those cities after that, once June comes, they generally require you to mow back down to that 6 to 8 inches, which is most typical, so. And then there's a question from, I guess our community, if there's whether we can let people grow native grasses or long grasses in the boulevard versus the private properties. I'd encourage you to look at those 2 areas kind of separately because they have different implications for visibility and whatnot, but and yeah, I think that's kind of the overview of what our current status is.
So the boulevard is technically city property.
Yep, so most right of ways in town are kind of 66 foot, 70 foot. You got some variation there, and so generally where the sidewalk ends is all street right away that property owners are required to maintain, but is not considered private property.
While I appreciate and this is just my opinion, while I appreciate the native grass side of it, I just think on the boulevard, we need to keep the boulevard's grass. Maintained, and, you know, especially when you get into, you know, corners and all of that. You know, people gotta be able to see when you're turning corners, if it gets too high for some reason, it blocks the vision. You know, if people wanna grow native gardens in their yard, they sure can, that's their prerogative, I think. And what gentleman had that was here this fall was very nice, it just not probably the ideal place for it though. No, I'm only. But I think we have policies in place for mowing and, you know, I could have support a no mow May on a, you know, objective, if that, you know, if that's what you choose, then, you know, but by June 1, you need to get that cut back down. Because June 2nd, you're gonna get a tag on your door. I would be okay with that, but, not, I guess if you wanna put your native grasses in the yard, that's your choice.
So how do we look at, item number 15 that we just approved? That's obviously longer than 6 inches.
Yeah, those aren't generally residential areas, you know, such as around the water treatment plant. They're outside of common site, and
It's zoned.
I'd have to look to see if the zoning is any different with properties than.
See where that,
Can I'll fill you in on one thing about that, like the hay ground, part of the contract is they have to control the weeds too, for that hay ground. So like noxious weeds, the thistle aspect and all that has to be taken care of on the city property, that's part of that, with him doing that property. We try to keep the hay ground within areas where not high residential areas, we've met resistance in certain areas on some larger flood lots. At one time, we were gonna try to hay them. And we ran into where we caught criticism from the residents around around them lots, because why do I have to mow my yard and the city's is 12 inches tall? So most of this is not in the residential areas. The hay ground is all in, I would call it agricultural areas of it, but, we have had to do enforcements, in areas with vegetation that was too tall because of it. If it would catch on fire, a fire hazard too, you have to look at it that way too, because in certain areas in the development that was 6 foot tall and across them for a quarter section of land that was inside the city limits. Just so people are aware of that stuff. I mean,
And I think that would be my biggest struggle with the normal May piece would be the dandelions and, if I keep my yard immaculate, my neighbor has normal May and all their dandelion, seeds are blowing in my yard and I would struggle with that a little bit.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
so we have garden plots in the flood lots. Have you guys ever thought about allowing people to, adopt a pollinator lot in a flood lot? And then they can make sure the weeds.
So that was where we ate some of that, was in that flood lot.
Right.
That flood lots right down by the garden, that's where we caught the.
But there's,
resistance for
flood
that.
lots throughout town,
Mhm.
and it, could be a good place to have a pollinator lot,
In our nature area.
and they could,
That,
keep the weeds down.
yeah. I mean, the
I
only
don't
thing,
know what that would be like to manage, but
The only
I mean,
thing-
if there are people that really wanna do this, there's definitely opportunities throughout town to,
Yeah, it's not something we've looked at, but if that's something the commission wants us to, we can research anything like.
I'm all for
Look into
pollinators
that.
and wildlife, but on a certain aspect, if we have to mow it, it tears our mowers up pretty bad when you're mowing 6 to 12 inches of grass. I mean, it's hard on them because they're made to be mowed at 4 inches instead of 12 inches, so belt bearings, tires, I mean, everything starts to fail and the cost of lawnmowers is pretty high.
could we get like a flock, like a dozen sheep that you'd shepherd around to these lawns?
Absolutely, I already told you that we're getting ducks and geese too, so.
Only a few.
Just keep an open mind, that's all I'm saying.
How about a couple big swans for
No
Memorial Park?
sheep, I just left it as sheep. I want six
Sheep would be better for
swans.
maintaining the grass, that's for sure.
When England, the king owns all the swans, I don't know how it works in America.
Off the record, I'll put this, we're gonna build Noah's Ark too.
With the tall grasses, some of the considerations that we have for nuisances is whether there's gonna be other aspects of that property that are conducive for rats, mice, snakes, mosquitoes in particular. And so some people, some residents in town will be a lot better about maintaining properties to allow native grasses, but avoid those nuisance prone activities, but others might not be so good. So as we look into these types of policies, we're just trying to figure out what would make the most sense for all residents or for people that,
Sorry to talk.
No, go ahead.
Are you thinking about if someone were to, have a pollinator plot, they'd have to get a permit for it? I'm worried the ordinance could be utilized for somebody that just doesn't want to maintain their boulevard or wherever you guys choose to put it. I mean, if they're going to get slack, they should have to put the effort to go get a permit.
yeah, I mean, right now, with that idea as far as the pollinator lot, of course, that's not something we do now, so there would have to be some program or policy put into place, so our current policies don't reflect that, but if we were to go down that, I would say we'd probably want to be strategic about which lots we would pick,
Absolutely.
because you don't want to pick a lot right next to, 3 or 4 lawns that are maintained, and so we'd be looking for flood lots that are more out of the way to allow for that pollination, but not cause concerns for the neighbors. So in that case, I don't know if we'd have to permit or bid it out
It
or
would
some
have to
kind
be permitted.
of, yeah.
And I think part of this too is you gotta be able to define what are pollinators and plants that are pollinated. I mean, so it's gonna take some
Yeah, it would take some, yeah.
work.
Yeah,
You have to
absolutely.
meet with the wildland people at the state out here and,
Yeah.
I mean, not that it can't be done. I just think that it's not something we can do just like that.
Yeah, I think taking a step back, if the goal is to promote some native grasses and pollinators, there's probably other ways of doing that we've got a lot of property in town without having to have an agreement with the resident or leasing it out or whatever that case looks like. There's probably other ways to accomplish that goal without doing that. It's just a matter of identifying some land and planting native grasses. That would be something that we could do a lot easier. So I think it's that kind of direction we're looking for is what activities do you want to see the city pursue, whether it's programs for residents or wildlife or conservation efforts underground by the city.
What do you see, Mike, at any conventions or anything you?
Well, there's certain areas that have pollinators, I mean, nature areas, you see that around towns, every town usually has a nature area or something like that they utilize. My biggest fear about opening it up is I'm the one that has to go in and mow these properties. So if you go to a no mow May, which I'm not against by any means, but college gets over the first week of May, rental houses, they'll be sitting there till there's a renter in there. If they don't have to, they're not gonna mow them. So you're gonna have yards all over town, rental houses that might not be taken care of. Some renters will take care of them, some won't. And then come June first, we're gonna be bombarded with mowing probably. And then on top of it, that's right when all the ball tournaments start in town. So do I pull my mowers out to go mow yards? Or do I mow the park areas that are, cause there's only so much grass. We can only mow so much grass in a day, so.
How many people do you think would participate in No Mow May?
The ones you just mentioned.
Yeah, ones that are doing it for maybe not the right reasons.
That's, I mean, I could see like, and you know what? I can't speak on this because now that we have a code enforcement officer, but we're only looking for a yard to mow. I mean, the city, I drive by and I'm like, there's no way that's in ordinance in the past. They don't do anything about it till it comes to a complaint basis. So when somebody called the PD and complained about it, that's when they would handle it. So with that being said, if you had a nice pollinator plot in your backyard, you know, with an outdoor feature, and you were taking care of it, if your neighbors didn't complain about it, would it be an issue? I mean, because it's on now that we have code enforcement officer that's but before we were like, we don't have time to deal with somebody that's yard is 7 inches long. I mean, I can tell you that probably in the last 4 years, we've probably mowed a half dozen code enforcement yards a summer. And it's expensive. It's $400 for us to turn the lawnmower blade on. I mean, but there's days that $400 doesn't cover the equipment repairs. A set of blades, because there's a bicycle buried in the grass that you can't see. Concrete, tires, and that's the aspect of it that, I mean, and we're still gonna have them places that, you know, foreclosures, stuff like that, that properties are in transition to something else, but.
Do we have, I mean, if they were gonna participate in that, couldn't they come in and register that?
Are we talking about like a no mow May or?
So we
Yeah.
have an idea of who it is.
What I've seen other communities do is that they have signs available that you stick in your yard that says no mow May, so that people know that they're participating in a program for the purpose of pollination, not just neglecting to maintain their property.
Looking at that staff,
Manage it.
motion to hire a yard czar. I tried.
Motion dies for lack of a second.
Guys,
I'll miss that. That's fine. For me.
I just think it's far deeper than one meeting. I just feel like it almost needs to be in a committee base if that's something we're gonna pursue.
Oh, get it killed that way.
Needs to go back to a committee and work its way up the ladder.
Well, my opinion is, I think we need to keep our regulations for the boulevard and do nothing approach for the No Mow May and sewer land is.
May kind of snuck up on us this year.
Yeah, so I think that's the consensus I've been hearing for this discussion is at this point in time, maintain our current regulations.
Have we had more than the one request?
No, not that I'm aware of.
I think we just maintain what we have.
Do that.
All right, anything else? Guards are.
I said my piece.
Number 19, April 2024 finance updates.
Amy will take these this month.
I guess I'm taking these this month. I didn't know that.
No.
I made them, but
Yeah.
Um, So we have the revenue guidelines, is that, yeah, so just updated those for, the month of March.
I just know we're 25% of the way through the year, so for the revenue and expenditures, you can kind of compare against the 25%. Not everything's gonna be tracking that smoothly, but you can compare that way.
Same with expenditures. Oops. I do know, on this, I think it was sewer, they had equipment expenses, so that was one thing that came through. Cash on hand, we have 22.6 million total, 18.4 in investments, 2.9 in checking, 1 million in our money market, and then restricted cash, we're at 608. And this does not include about 179,000 in transfers between bank accounts. We closed some and opened new ones at First Premier Library and one other, I think.
What's the investments? Like CDs or?
It's a variety of funds, not all CDs, there's other investments, trying to think of some that's with the,
First Bank and.
yeah,
First.
yeah, I don't have that.
What are you making on that?
I do not know at this time.
Yeah, we can do a deeper dive on the investments at the next meeting if you'd like.
Okay.
I did just request
You'll have to come
statements.
back to that.
Yeah, I did request statements for those that I just received, so I should be able to.
And
Yeah,
how they're managed, if they're actively managed or just.
well, I think there's some pretty severe restrictions what municipalities can do, but, it's just all morbid curiosity.
Not morbid at all, right?
Yeah, it can be.
Yeah, I would say that might be a good topic to expand upon in the future finance update. Do you want more information on where the investments are sitting?
Can you break the cash out on enterprise funds and, general funds?
I'll do that.
Next time, I'll come back for that, maybe.
We'll hold you to it.
No, I've let you know before.
So, yeah.
That's okay, because we record this, so I can send it straight to your inbox.
Yeah.
Sales tax growth for the month.
A good, strong growth this month. As you can see, year to date at 8%. So just for the month of March being nearly 13% is a strong month. Year to year, of
What do
course.
you think's driving that?
I don't know. Sales tax is such a tough thing because it's a macro,
Yeah.
revenue that we're generating. If we go to the next slide, you can see that last month, our February dipped. I mean, it dips every year, but it got quite close to our last year's amount in comparison to January and March. But then March has really leveled off and was a strong March comparison to the other years. I don't know that I can pinpoint any one thing that would drive that though. It's such a macro thing to look at.
Mild weather, people get those.
Yeah, that's probably a good thing.
I do actually wonder with mild weather, so we have to pay sales tax on our electricity and natural gas as residents, right? So
way down.
that's way down, but yet we're up. It's just something kind of fun to think about, but it's really hard to find a correlation. But you think it would actually be down a little because, some of those heating bills can get pretty high, right? And, you pay sales tax on it.
I think that wraps it up. Is there any questions? Next month, we can do a little bit more on investments. Anything else you'd like more information on?
Yeah, but I don't want to get into it. I'll, next time I run, I'll.
Save it for next month. Yeah.
I'll clean that up in my next term.
Give 1 year break and go back on, right?
Be mayor,
Oh, I didn't even think about it like that, yeah.
it's a good idea.
There you go.
You want to be yards are. It's pretty cool.
And I'm gonna, instead of being called mayor, I'll want to be yard seller.
You had the opportunity to run that meeting, so we can see your.
Well, let's take a few minutes talking about the last 9 years. Like. The first 6, Roy like never missed a meeting, and then Marshall really never missed a meeting. So, I mean, there just wasn't an opportunity. I mean, since Roy's not here, he is kind of slowing down. You know, he's missing some more, so.
Something to look forward to in your next term.
If I come back as mayor, I'm giving myself a giant raise. I get a giant raise.
Want to say that on the record?
Like, it's gonna
Not like
get
that
pretty uncomfortable.
Still recording.
Any public comment?
No, then.
No.
Announcements, our next regular commission meeting will be Monday, May 6th, 2024.
And citywide cleanup,
Citywide cleanup is
the week of May sixth.
May 6th. Same week of our next commission meeting.
Yeah, and we asked that people put things out days in advance ideally, but not too much far in advance, because we don't want a month of our town looking, a little rubbish.
Yeah. Plus, I think that is the week of graduation to go to state as well.
It always is, it's tough to weave through them. There's no perfect time to put citywide cleanup.
Because then the following weekend is Mother's Day.
Well, then, the city street department needs to do their job.
I was wondering if we were gonna have citywide cleanup with the landfill being as full as it is.
Yeah, we believe we can fit this year
Okay.
something to restrict use, I I think the citywide cleanup's always kind of the test to see how much gets in there, but
Okay.
we feel like we can make it work.
Perfect.
We should know what they're taking, you know, there'll be a flyer that comes out, no metal, you know, certain amount of tires, all that stuff.
Where's Gary?
Huh?
Where's
Track
Gary?
meet.
Yeah, track meet.
He's not running now, he's just watching.
Oh.
Just to be clear. I'd also note that if something is small and can be fit into your garbage bin, put it in your garbage bin. We always encourage residents that toasters don't need to go on the curb. This is generally for larger items that can't easily be placed in those garbage containers.
But if you do put a toaster out there, the Hutterites will take it, so.
Somebody.
It'll disappear. Just saying.
No, you're right. You see the vans pull up around town?
All right, well, on that note,
Leaving their bikes in the front yard.
they will disappear. Yeah, we need a motion to adjourn. Motion by Jeremiah,
Second.
second by Jure. The non-negotiable, we are adjourned.
Thank you for your service, sir. It's a pleasure.
I expect you to be here.
He'll be here next meeting.
Yeah, I actually surprised I made this many.
I
meetings.
was shocked you were